Right now, almost 1 in 3 car buyers want to buy completely online, and if your dealership can't close that deal, someone else will. Accelerate My Deal Elite gives you real online checkout, ID and insurance verification, and dealer control without changing the way you work. Visit dealdoers.com to learn more.
Welcome to Daily Drive for Thursday, March 5th, 2026. I'm Jake Neer in Detroit, in for Kellen Walker. Today on the show, the Iran conflict forces automakers to delay Middle East shipments, wealthy shoppers keep auto sales afloat while lower-income customers struggle, and more buyers stretch auto loans to 7 years or longer to afford record prices. Plus, Pinewood.AI CEO Bill Berman joins the show and explains why private equity firm Apax Partners backed out of acquiring his company and how AI disruption fears in the software market are spooking investors.
Apax did great due diligence, got all the way down to the 11th hour, and when they went for their final vote on an investment committee, a lot of the noise and disruption that had happened from what came across with Anthropic had them pause.
Let's run through all the news you need to know to keep up in the auto industry. The Iran conflict is rippling through global auto supply chains. India-based automakers are now delaying shipments to the Middle East and North Africa. The Strait of Hormuz has become effectively impassable, forcing costly rerouting around South Africa. Companies including Tata Motors, Suzuki, Hyundai Motor India, and Volkswagen's local unit are holding off to avoid emergency surcharges of up to $2,000 per container and war risk insurance spikes. The region represents 8 to 40% of export volumes for key manufacturers. Freight costs and crude-linked inputs like tires could squeeze margins industry-wide. Wealthy shoppers are keeping auto sales afloat while lower-income customers struggle. Two economists say the economy is splitting in two. Cox Automotive's Jeremy Robb says higher-income shoppers are doing fine, but it's brutal for lower-income consumers facing slower wage growth and higher costs. Vehicle ownership expenses jumped 48% from 2019 to 2025, far outpacing inflation when you factor in insurance, maintenance, and fuel. NADA's Patrick Manzi says that's manageable for dealers. In 2020, half of new vehicle buyers made under $100,000. By 2025, just 37% did. Meanwhile, those making over $250,000 nearly doubled to 21% of buyers. And with more people struggling to afford new cars, more buyers are stretching their loans to 7 years or longer just to make it work. According to Edmunds, just under 21% of new vehicle buyers financed for 84 months or more in the fourth quarter. That's up nearly 3% from the year before. It's the third straight year that number has climbed. According to Kelley Blue Book, average new vehicle prices hit a record, more than $50,300 in December. The problem? Buyers end up paying more interest over time and risk being underwater on their loans. Joining me now to talk more about this issue is Riley Hodder, who's been covering the story for us at Automotive News. Riley, welcome to Daily Drive. It's great to have you here.
Hi, Jake. I'm happy to be here.
I think this is something that is touching on a lot of issues that retailers are thinking about these days that are really top of mind. You mentioned that analysts at Edmunds and Experian are concerned about spikes in negative equity down the road, something that we've been talking a lot about at Automotive News over the last couple months. Are lenders showing any signs that they're tightening standards on these ultra-long loans, or are they still kind of treating them as business as usual?
Yeah, it's actually funny you mentioned the analysts because I got the most kind of clarity on that topic when I talked to a dealer in Kokomo, Indiana, because, the dealers, they interact with so many lenders, so they get to, kind of see like a wide range of experiences. Essentially, what he kind of talked to me about was that, they kind of have essentially like two types. There's a bit of a range, but two general types of like lenders in this topic with these long-term loans. You kind of have lenders that are doing it right. One example he gave was Capital One is doing it really well. If a customer or buyer is really interested in a longer loan term, they will really, really weigh that with their background, essentially. So take a look at their credit score, their history, and decide whether or not to give them that loan term based off of that. which is going to really hopefully be able to point to whether or not they're going to be able to pay off those loans and be able to avoid that negative equity later on down the line. Obviously, not always the case because sometimes crazy life events happen, but, it hopefully points them in the right direction. But then there's other lenders that kind of really just, as long as the loan term fits within their guidelines, they're willing to give it to anybody.
Mm.
He said that's really who is going to be able to, who is going to drive in any possible increase in negative equity that come as a result of these loan terms is going to be those lenders that are not really thinking about it at all. So those lenders definitely exist, and they're definitely out there, and they're lending to people without a ton of, like a credit check and stuff like that for these longer loan terms. And, obviously generally at higher interest rates as well. And so he said if there's going to be any result, that any people that are driving that, it's going to be those lenders, but they are still out there and they're doing it. So there are some that are kind of stingy and they're kind of, upping their standards when it comes to these longer loan terms, especially beyond 84 months. But there are some places that they are really just saying, if you are interested in this kind of loan, we're happy to give it to you.
Interesting. Now, you spoke with a dealer in Kokomo who said his store is trying to have those hard conversations with customers about loan length and what it could mean for them. But how common are those approaches across the industry in your estimation? Like, are most dealers still prioritizing the sale over steering customers towards shorter, more financially stable loans?
Yeah. So, he did tell me at the end of the day, you got to get the deal. You're a dealer, you're there to sell
Mm-hmm.
cars. You got to think about yourself. You got to get the deal. And kind of what he talked about was a little bit of like a balance that you have to establish. If you sell somebody a longer auto loan term on their car, and then they end up having a really negative experience with that because of a lot of the consequences, having to pay really costly services and repairs later while you're still paying off your loan, having higher interest rates than normal, having to pay off more in interest than really you would have had to if you had just gotten a shorter loan with a higher monthly payment. And none of that was brought up in your original conversation with your salesperson or your finance person at your dealership. They're probably not going to come back. They're probably going to be pretty upset. But also, you want to be able to make sure that the customer is making the right decision for them and you're not kind of telling them what to do because they're also probably not going to come back if that is something that you do. So he's like, it's striking a balance. You don't want to have your salespeople and your finance people be essentially avoiding talking about these things for the sake of getting the deal, but you also don't want them to push anything on them. So you just want to be like, hey, these are some things that you need to be aware of. Sadly, this kind of approach is really not that common because he also pointed out, that a lot of people, a lot of dealerships, they don't really have the resources to be thinking that heavily about the consequences, especially if they're, thinking month to month and they're really, really trying to be able to hit their monthly goals. And especially dealerships that are struggling financially right now, dealerships struggling to move really expensive cars to people who maybe aren't able to afford them. And those people are often, really, really overworked and they don't have a ton of time to sit there and be like, hey, this might not be the best idea for you. Especially, and also like salespeople who, need to make money themselves. They need to, get commission for their families and stuff like that. So it's not the most common standard, which is really unfortunate, but it's not necessarily dealers are out here like trying to manipulate people and take advantage of them. It's sometimes like they just don't have the resources to be able to have these really long-term kind of conversations with these people. And sometimes they really need to prioritize their business and prioritize the deal.
To quote the late great Prince, the sign of the times, Riley Hodder.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us on Daily Drive, and we will keep following this. Really appreciate your reporting.
Thanks for having me.
Coming up, Pinewood.AI CEO Bill Berman joins us to explain why Apax partners walked away from acquiring his company and what AI disruption fears mean for automotive software. That's next on Daily Drive. Are you a dealer creating a workplace culture your employees are proud to be part of? Applications are now open for the 2026 Automotive News Best Dealerships to Work For program. This isn't just an award, it's a chance to get real insight into what's working at your dealership and where you can improve. And we've expanded the categories this year, recognizing everything from technician experience and leadership development to AI enablement and employee retention. The registration deadline is April 17th. Find out more and apply at autonews.com.
Hey, quick question. What if nearly 1 in 3 customers who walked onto your lot were ready to buy before they ever got there? That's not a hypothetical. That's actually happening right now. Almost 1 in 3 consumers say they want to complete their car purchase completely online. The question is your dealership able to close that deal online, or are you handing it off to someone who is? That's where AutoTrader's Accelerate My Deal Elite online checkout comes in. Accelerate My Deal Elite isn't just another digital retailing tool that takes the dealer out of the equation. It's built with you in mind. You stay in control of the deal. Pricing, terms, the whole thing. While your customers do the heavy lifting up front from the comfort of their home. We're talking real online checkout, built-in ID and insurance verification, and a seamless experience that fits right into the way your team already works. No ripping out your process, no retraining your whole staff, just more deals done faster. And here's the thing, your competitors aren't sitting on this. The dealers who move first are the ones capturing those online buyers. Don't let that be someone else's win. Reach out to your AutoTrader rep today and ask about Accelerate My Deal Elite, or visit dealdoers.com to learn more. Your customers are ready. The question is, are you?
Welcome back to Daily Drive. I'm Jake Neer. Pinewood.AI had a breakout moment at NADA this year, winning 2 awards and signing deals on the show floor. But behind the scenes, private equity firm Apax Partners was in the final stages of acquiring the company and taking it private. Then, at the 11th hour, they walked away. Our own Mark Holmer spoke with Pinewood.AI CEO Bill Berman about what happened and why fears about AI disruption in the software market spooked investors, even though Berman says his company has a moat that protects it from the threat.
Bill, thanks for joining me once again. I hope things are going well so far.
Everything's going great, Mark. Nice to see you again as well.
Sure. We last talked at NADA, and
Yeah.
so I'm wondering how it went for you.
I blew by all of our expectations. It went absolutely amazing. I think that's the 20th NAD I've been to, and maybe a little bit more than that. Mark, I don't even know this, but we actually won 2 awards. I didn't even know there was awards to be won.
I didn't either.
But we won Best New Entrant. And Kim Costello, our CMO, and our marketing team, and all of our associates did a great job. And we actually had the best booth as well. So we were kind of a double award winner, which was great. And then in addition to that, we had a huge influx of customers, way exceeding, our expectations out there. And everything was incredibly well received. All kinds of great opportunities, even a couple small deals that we were able to sign on the spot for our various products. And I think we've got a great pathway as we made our first official launch into North America. So really exciting. And overall, the team did incredibly well.
Well, congratulations. I'm wondering
Thank you.
how soon we can see or hear some of those announcements that are to come.
Well, good or bad, we're publicly traded, so we can't say to one until we say it to the public. But as those things mature and get out there based on size and scale, we will be obliged to announce that to the market. But right now, we're keeping it close to the vest. But like I said, it really exceeded our expectation.
I'm glad. Right around the time of NADA, Apax, a private equity firm out of the UK, was contemplating an acquisition to take your company private. And that came out right around NADA, so there was a lot going on. It's like everything at once. But since then, they have declined to go further. So I'm wondering from your perspective, what happened and what's your reaction to that?
Yeah. So listen, I think we've built a great company, and lots of people have looked at us. I think Apax is a unique private equity as it relates out there. They've done lots of investments in automotive technology in North America as well as in Europe. They kind of have dual offices both in New York and London, and they engaged with us at the end of last year on a potential take private. And they were even offering up the ability for our existing shareholders, i.e. Lithia, for example, to be able to roll over into a new privately held company. During that transaction or during those kind of negotiations and going into the due diligence, there was a leak. And we had to make a market notification, and that was on the 29th of January. And then shortly after that, right around NADA, you had the Anthropic news that hit with Claude and kind of the disruption and some of those legal platforms and the such out there. And there's been a huge adjustment within the overall software market as a whole. And Apax did great due diligence, got all the way down to the 11th hour. And when they went for their final vote on an investment committee, a lot of the noise and disruption that had happened from what came across with Anthropic had them pause. So they had several different deals working. They ended up pausing on all of those. Within a UK context of being publicly traded, we can't engage with them for another 6 months. But it was 100% for because of what happened with Anthropic and kind of some of the disruption in the software basis. That said, listen, we're happy being publicly traded. There was a great pathway with Lithia and other shareholders in Apax to go private. We would have been equally successful that way, but we don't think this limited us or really changes anything. I just think it's a timing issue. And once again, even the conversation publicly all started because of a leak. And those things happen at times. But at the end of the day, it didn't take anything away from what happened at NADA, what's happened since then. Just the overall kind of work ethic and driving determination that the team have has just been accelerated. So I feel we're in a great space right now.
I'm glad that things are moving forward, but
Yeah.
I'm curious too if you could flesh out a little more what happened with Anthropic specifically that put the kibosh on this and other deals like it.
So one of the renditions of Claude, that's their engine, kind of like a chat GPT that came out there. They had a disruptive force when it came into the legal platforms that exist out there, like Harvey. And it showed that you could sit here and use a engine like Claude to be able to develop certain amounts of software, by different groups, say, so to speak, to be able to do different functionalities. And there has been a real reaction in the public markets on that, on various software companies that have got hit quite drastically, because there's a fear in the marketplace that different software companies could be disrupted by AI, by people or small groups being able to build homegrown solutions to facilitate different aspects within their businesses. The unique thing about, Pinewood.AI is multifaceted, but we have an enterprise level accounting platform. We're in 36 countries. So we're able to provide an enterprise level accounting platform, a system of record across those 36 countries. That is not something that's displaceable with AI. We have integrations with the top 50 OEMs in those 36 countries worldwide. Those are very bespoke and specific to each one of those OEMs. Those aren't open source lines of code or communication that can be written. So that's another thing that wouldn't be easy, or actually would be virtually impossible for AI to disrupt. And I think what's happened is a company like us, Pinewood.AI, we've got lumped in with anything that resembles software. And, there's a thing to be said that we could be disrupted. I 100% don't believe that to be the case in any way, shape, or form. I could see why if you're in different facets in software where I might be a little bit more worried. But with our products, what we offer and the services and the tech that we provide to our customers, I feel we've got a great moat around us to be able to grow on a go-forward basis.
And by disrupted, you mean what?
Well, I mean, if somebody couldn't sit here and write an enterprise level accounting platform for automotive using ChatGPT or Claude. So you couldn't disintermediate a DMS system like ours by using an outside AI engine to go out there and do that.
So what you're saying then is that there's a perception that AI, as it's evolved through platforms like Claude, could basically do the work that companies like yours and Techion and CDK and the others can do. And so investors are a little wary of companies like yours. Is that what?
It's overall software, but yeah, specifically when it comes to automotive, we're the only publicly traded of the groups that you just described. We're the only publicly traded one. It's the same thing whether it's in Europe and the other players here, but none of those. And I would say a company like ours with our tech stack, our data stack, the functionalities and capabilities we have are even a step above those when it comes to having a moat around us to prevent disruption from AI. And Mark, you and I have talked about this before. The .ai, we actually have high amounts of AI functionality already built into our system.
Sure.
We have freestanding AI products that we sell on top of that. So I think we're in a unique position where not only do we have the moat built around us with our enterprise level accounting platform, the integrations with the top 50 OEMs worldwide, in addition to the AI products, I think we've got a well-encapsulated thing here. But within a normal investment, and you look at the way investors do it, especially things that are computer-driven or different modules, a software company is a software company to a lot of those type of investment groups, and they don't really differentiate a company like Pinewood.AI that has a moat around them versus somebody that might be more easily disrupted.
I understand. Well, you had mentioned that as a public company in the UK that you won't be talking to Apax again for at least 6 months.
Yeah.
So what happens after that?
So if somebody else made a bid for the company, we could, Apax can come in. It's a UK listing rule. And what it basically says is that if someone's made an offer and pulled that offer off the table, they can't come back, a month later and try to put a different price out or to renegotiate. It's called being put pencils down, and it gives time for everything to settle. In 6 months, if Apax wanted to restart a conversation and maybe normality's hit back into the software market, we'd be open to any conversation with any good partner that could help us grow the business to the level we are now, or maybe even at a faster pace. But they can't engage with us unsolicited for 6 months.
I got you. Let's circle back to the U.S. You have a very big client to start with Lithia, and we talked a little bit about some news that you expect by March in terms of rollout. Tell me what's going on.
Yeah, so in March, and actually we've already started this, we're doing our UAT testing, and we've already got different modules that we're testing in the store. So we have our platform up and running in North America. So we're already running in a Porsche facility in Canada. We're operating right now in a facility in Lithia right now where we have different functionalities and different aspects of our platform being operated into there. After we've done that, we'll go to a second brand, do our UAT testing, and then we'll start rolling out in the second half of this year through 27 and in the first part of 28 for all 320 Lithia stores.
So you're on, at this point at least, you're on schedule?
Well, it's never as fast as I want it to go, Mark, but yes, from what we've put out into the marketplace, we're going down the glide path that we've set up.
Excellent. Bill, thank you for your time. We appreciate the conversation. Until next time.
Thanks, Mark. Talk to you soon.
That's Daily Drive for today. I'm Jake Neer, in for Kellen Walker. Thanks to our own John Hutter and Riley Hodder for their reporting for today's podcast. You can get the latest news on AI and automotive software, auto loan trends, and everything happening in the auto industry at autonews.com. Come back tomorrow for a conversation with Cox Automotive Executive Analyst Aaron Keating about the company's latest dealer sentiment survey, which shows that retailers remain tepid at the beginning of 2026.
Most of them were feeling, of course, coming down off of last year. Fourth quarter was a little bit difficult. January is always sort of a slower time. Weather was a major impactor. But February, to be honest, we've just started to see some of the results, and they sort of match what their optimism was, that February sales started to pick up. And so they do see that spring bounce, as usual, is something to be optimistic about.
We'd love to hear from you. Let us know what you think of the show and the topics we covered today. Send us an email at dailydrive@autonews.com or leave us a voicemail at 313-444-2774. And if you enjoy the podcast, remember to like, leave a review, and subscribe so you never miss an episode.